Hi, welcome to our CBT presentation. Below is a list of our group members. Our presentation is based on a full-day package which will be based in Lawai Pottery Village, which is located in Singatoka. On to the introduction, down to the background, Lawai has a unique and well-developed pottery history, and the culture of pottery making has been preserved and handed down from generation to generation. CBT, what is CBT? Community-based tourism is where the local communities have a high degree of control over the activities that are taking place for tourists, and also its economic benefits. Now, target market. After visiting Lawai under USB, we believe Lawai has a potential to carry out a full-day package targeted for schools, universities, local markets, and also voluntary tourism. So our full-day package will include existing products and new products. As we enter Lawai, we will be greeted with garlands and a welcoming song, followed by a Yagona ceremony, which is part of Fiji's custom, a tour of the village, which is already an existing product, and then followed by a masterclass. When we went on our tour, we were only introduced to how pottery is made, but with masterclass, we will cover the history of pottery making and concentrate on single elements of the craft, such as glazing, wood firing techniques, and the types of clay. After the masterclass, we'll follow a traditional feast, which will have lovo and bakasoso, and then a traditional dancing ceremony where the ladies will invite some of the tourists up to learn a few meke lessons to perform, and then the men will take the tourists out for bilibili rafting, also known as bamboo rafting, and then the day ends with a goodbye song. Now over to Nora.
With the integration of new products and activities in Lawai, some strengths would be resources are 100% natural and always available, meaning that locals access materials nearby in the village. For example, the clays they use for pottery, the food that they will provide, they'll be farm to table concept. Second would be not much near competition, whereas Lawai is the only village in Singatoka that offers pottery making, and with additional activities such as the mbili and the meke, it'll pull in more tourists for them. Next would be sales of items. As everyone noticed during the field trip, they have a house where they have their displays there for people to purchase anything that they'd like while they're visiting. And lastly, tourists are exposed to more of our culture through the new activities that we've introduced, such as the traditional feast and the mbili making, also the meke learning, and also kava ceremony. Tourists get to understand more of the Fijian culture and experience it themselves. Also, they learn the mekes and whatnot. Weaknesses that we have identified are competition from bigger handicraft brands such as Jacks and Tapus that also manufacture and sell potteries from clay, etc. Inadequate finance would be another one, whereas the women only get money when they have visitors coming in, so there's no fixed payment or anything that they will be getting, so they can only make money when they have visitors. Lastly would be globalization and industrialization, because plastic is more widely used and produced around the world in places, glass, timber, metal. It'll be hard for these women to push for their clay items to be sold. The levels of community participation that we have identified for Lawai is 1, interactive participation. This is when people of the community are allowed to take part in the development of action plans or formulating goals to help the community project. Second is passive participation, whereas communities participate by being told what has been decided or what has already happened by administration or project management. Pretty much just announcements that are done by management to the people to keep them updated. Third is consultation. Participation by consultation is when the community can ask the project managers what's happening, what's going around, questions that they have that have aroused over time that they want clarified. Last would be participation for material incentives. It's pretty much community members participating in the activities run when hosting visitors, and in exchange they get material incentives such as money. So they sell their potteries and whatnot, or they do dances, and in exchange they get money from that.
Here is a short video of the location of Lawai on Google Maps. Two of Lawai features are location and accessibility. Now I will play the video for you. As you can see here, this is Lawai Pottery Village and this is Singatoka Town. Lawai is only 6 minutes away from Singatoka Town. So it is accessible for the women to go into town to buy food for the traditional feast. From Singatoka Town, you go on to Singatoka Valley Road to arrive in Lawai. Now I will zoom in so you can have a closer look. Right next to Lawai Pottery Village is Singatoka River, which is just along here. So it is accessible for the Bilibili rafting, also known as the bamboo rafting. And now to zoom back out, along here is Coral Coast, and along here is Singatoka Tunedi. There are many resorts along these areas, so it is accessible for the tourists to go into Lawai. Now Bessie will be presenting.
This slide focuses on how we plan to involve the community members in the planning and decision-making process. So first, there's going to be a selected group of community leaders, and these are the representatives of women, youth, and men in the Lawai village. Secondly, once these community leaders are being selected, they are the ones who are going to plan on how the community members are going to participate in this project. Now, we have a total of 4 activities making up the whole day tour package, and these leaders are going to make sure that they allocate different group of community members to coordinate these activities. So, for example, with the Mbilimbili tour, these leaders can choose the youth members of the village to coordinate this activity, and the same goes for the other activities that we have as well. Thirdly, one of the very important approach that we're going to implement whenever there's a problem that we encounter, we are going to have a Talanoa session to make sure that all the community members participate in giving their ideas and feedback on how they want this project to be operated. This is regarded as a very important involvement of the community members. To finish off, Leonardo All 2013 mentioned that when communities are empowered with responsibilities and rights for the management and receive benefits from them, they come to recognize the importance of sustainable natural resource management. So we are involving these community members to achieve our goals, and one of these goals are to ensure that everyone knows the importance of sustainable practices so that we can better manage our natural resources while operating this community project.
Bola, my name is Nitin and I'm going to talk about some further potential tourism products which the Lawai community can offer. Firstly, turmeric farming. When we went to the village, we noticed during the welcoming ceremony they gave us garlands which were made of turmeric leaves. Basically, they already have turmeric plants. What they need to do is invest into turmeric farming and commercialize it. Harvest the turmeric, export them to local industries, and produce turmeric handmade soap and turmeric medicinal drinks. When we went to the village, we saw that it is quite dominated by the ladies, so it's high time the men involve themselves in these activities and give their contribution towards the community, and they can do this by producing local fruits and vegetables. They can include this in the traditional feast, which is one of our products, and also export them to nearby resorts. Thirdly, the involvement of Nangito Vakaviti, which is traditional Fijian games, such as you can see in the picture, the spear game, and also involve tourists in it as well. We plan to achieve economic and socio-cultural benefits for all community members by revenue from entry fees can be distributed and allocated towards the Matangali Village Development Committee, Lawai Women's Poetry Club, and also Lawai Men's Club. Lawai Men's Club is a new club because we are now encouraging the involvement of men, and from this they can purchase their tools for farming. Secondly, revenue from individualized poetry sales, turmeric soap and medicine can be distributed to individual families, and certain percentage can be contributed towards the village school and church. Thirdly, equal distribution of work between men and women. Village women are divided into 5 groups, and each group is responsible for basically running the show for one whole week. So what we can do is we can divide this equally between men and women so that there is equal distribution of workload.
Potential challenges. Potential challenges that may face in Lawai village in the implementation process. We have COVID-19 regarding social distancing and border restrictions. This will lead to no tourists and would affect the tourism project. We also have natural disasters or climate-related events, tropical cyclones causing threat to tourism or floodings which will affect the project process. Then we have marketing. This is one main point highlighted here that can be a challenge because Lawai village they rely only on tour operators, therefore it can be a challenge. Another challenge is issues of access. Lack of accessibility. Tourists come with tour operators and go straight back to the resorts, so they are under the control of the resorts, which therefore makes accessibility a challenge here. Next, we have lack of technical skills and experience. Locals lack marketing skills, use of social media, banking and financial planning skills, so therefore locals do not have the knowledge. Also, we have patriarchal conflict. Women possess superior power and economic privilege over men. And lastly, we have balance between communal and individual interest. Other potential challenges faced with the products masterclass. A challenge would be variability, the way of standard, the way of teaching may not always be the same depending on who is teaching. Difficulty in gathering clay. This is a challenge for women, getting a quality clay. Regarding to traditional feast, we have the hygiene, maintaining the hygiene or proper hygiene. Availability of food, fruits and vegetables are available through season. And then we have bilibili rafting. Challenges regarding to that particular product is the weather conditions and also the safety, occupational health and safety.
Some recommendations are Lawai villages need to include sporting activities and more entertainment facilities in order to attract more tourists. The need to incorporate new technology, for example computers, in order to carry out digital marketing and learn basic banking and financial skills. Be less dependent on tour operators to bring in tourists and carry out their own marketing strategies to get tourists. Eradicating parochial conflict and encouraging Solevaki social capital, whereby the community works together as one group with the same mindset and to achieve one common goal, teaming up with UNDP and seeking involvement in entrepreneurial workshops, whereby adding their community-based tourism products to the tourism product portfolio and displaying them in the workshop. Proper training of staff to tackle the problem or the issue of variability. Build a safer clay gathering area, perhaps a deck at the riverbank, and this could be done by the men of the village. And also, proper hygiene standards need to be established and practiced at all times to avoid problems such as food poisoning. Make use of seasonal food and depend less on frozen and imported goods. This also encourages or lessens leakage. Lastly, design and implement proper OHS protocols, which is very important for the safety of both the villagers and also the visitors to the village. Thank you.
To conclude, our CBT initiative is being developed with the aim of highlighting the importance of community participation in the full-day package, which will result in a positive outcome and growth of a community-based tourism in Lawai. Also, it will bring in community involvement and participation. Since Lawai is one of the few villages left in Fiji which makes traditional pottery, it can extend its products to suit the interests of the target market. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Here is our marketing team. And on the next slide is our reference list. Here are our references. Thank you so much for listening in.